Welcome to Don't Be Shady, the podcast where we keep it real about love, dating, and relationships. No sugarcoating, no games, just the raw truth about red flags, boundaries, healing, and everything in between. So grab your tea, take a deep breath, and let's get into it, because around here, we don't do shady. Welcome to Don't Be Shady, episode 12. Oh man, this episode. All right, we're going to just get right into it today. So today's episode isn't just celebrity news. It's personal. Cassie's bravery and the backlash she's facing hit home for me. Wow. I'm seeing all this stuff come out, and I'm seeing all these people talk about it. And I'm glad that we're having the conversation, but the conversation isn't going in the way that I would expect it to go. There has been footage of her getting beat in a hotel hallway. She's being kicked. She's being dragged. I think he even came out and took her phone, grabbed her belongings, like holding her hostage, essentially. There was a edited clip and then an unedited one, and that unedited one is where you see a little bit more of the time frame around everything. And wow, I'm looking at that video and I'm seeing myself in that video, like literally seeing myself there. And I'm thinking, wow, like she's so brave for saying something. She's so brave. And then having to go through that pain. And then for the backlash that she's getting around her bravery. This is why women don't speak out. This is why we don't come forward. This is why we are so quick to hide. This is why we're so quick to not say anything. Or like if we do, we blame ourselves. Like, oh, it was my fault. It's because, I didn't cook his meal fast enough. Or, oh, I didn't look the way that he wanted me to. Or I didn't clean the bathroom the way he said or he wanted me to. Whatever the reason is, we blame ourselves. And it could be the most ridiculous reason ever. But we will blame ourselves to not blame the men, so that then in turn, when everything does come out, we're not being blamed. Like, oh, well, it was my fault. That's initially how we come out. Like, oh, it was my fault. Like I did X, Y, and Z. But as you start to heal and you start to save yourself, you realize those things aren't actually valid and they're not even true. It's just we're scared and we're afraid to come forward because of the type of backlash she's getting. It's horrifying. Oh man, there's something I want to share with you guys. I seen it recently and I was like, you know what, this is actually super powerful. And I hope that people can really take a step back and really think about it. So I'm just going to read this little brief thing that I seen. The most shocking part of this trial isn't what's happening in court. It's the amount of women who think she deserves the abuse because she didn't leave. That part. Let me make this real simple for you. You complain about your job every day, but you stay because you've got mouths to feed. You complain about Trump, the country, these laws, but you're not rushing to move to another one. You complain about being overweight or unhealthy. There's a gym on every corner. And yet your BMI is still not moving, sis. So, what's the word? But yet, buttons. So let's not act brand new when it comes to a woman being mentally and emotionally trapped in a toxic, abusive relationship. Don't act like that man didn't have police and witnesses on payroll. You saw him chase her down and beat her for walking away. Then you ask, why didn't she leave? Especially when you know that man groomed her as a child and she was a teenager. Where is the empathy? Where is the sisterhood? You don't have to like her decisions, but you should be able to recognize manipulation, power, imbalance, and trauma when you see it. If you can't stand in the gap for a woman who was targeted used, and controlled, then don't ask for grace when you made a decision from a broken place. Be quiet or be better, but don't ever blame a woman for the abuse she survived. Some of us don't make it out alive. I don't think people are really sitting down and thinking that this could be your sister, this could be your mom's story, this could be a cousin, this could be your neighbor. This is any single person that has ever been abused in any shape or form. And the fact that people are saying, oh, she could have just left, that's easy to say when you've never sat in her shoes or walked any place she's been. You have no idea. There could have been a financial hold, emotional hold, whatever the case is. Whatever it was, she didn't leave or didn't feel she could leave at that time. And yes, she was there for 10 years. I've seen women never leave, stay and put up with it the whole entire time. But she eventually walked away. She eventually got her mind strong enough to at least leave. I know I've been in relationships myself. I was in a 10-year marriage that was abusive, toxic. There was drugs involved. There was jail time. There was all kinds of things, domestic violence. It was all over the place. And I was in a 10-year relationship. And I stayed so long. Number one, I was 16 when I entered that relationship. So I can understand the mental state at 16 versus 2 kids later, 22, 23. I think I finally walked away when I was 28. So I was young, didn't really understand like what was really happening, what was going on. But as you start to develop mentally, you start to realize like this man is never going to change. And you keep chasing the man that you knew before all of that. Like the one that was nice to you, the one that love bombed the hell out of you, that made you feel special, made you feel seen, made you feel heard. You chase that man for years thinking he's going to come back. But we don't realize that they're long gone. They're never coming back. And you just hold on to that hope thinking they're going to be there. But they're not. They're gone. They're freaking gone. Man. Talk about the emotional impact of seeing someone relive their trauma while being blamed and discredited. Being blamed and discredited for finally speaking up. For a lack of a better word, having the balls to get up and say, enough, I'm tired of this. I can't do this anymore. Why? The physical abuse, man. Mental abuse and physical abuse often gets minimized or misunderstood by so many people, and the victim too. They minimize it, so when they tell somebody, it doesn't sound like it's that bad. Because I remember I was telling a story about how, if you've watched my previous segment, or previous 3 segments ago, you'll see how like there was silent treatment. There was financial abuse. Like my car was involved. My own car would be held hostage against me. He even took her phone. He said that she said in the trial that he would take her phone. Yeah, my phone's been taken. My phone's been turned off. My phone's been reported lost or stolen, and I had it sitting in my hand. Like abuse, just like those type of things. And after the crying or the begging or the punishment is over by the person giving it to them, then you're like, oh, like, again, I've been there. Like, I get that. Like, wow. Like, as I'm having this conversation, like some of the things that I have forgot about are coming back up. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, like I put up with that. Like I literally would be punished for talking to somebody, for having a conversation, for doing absolutely nothing. Because I wasn't supposed to talk to some person. My phone got turned off. I'm on my way to drive to a different state, and because they didn't agree with what I wanted to do, my phone got cut off. But at this point, I had a backup phone because I was used to that abuse. But why? Why do we have to put up with that stuff? You know what I mean? The grooming, I can definitely attest to the grooming. I was 16 when I got in my first relationship, and he was 21 years old. Very very well like a man in that stage of his life. I was not. I was just a little girl. I wasn't even 18. Like, I still didn't even have my mind 100% there. Like, I wasn't, I'm not saying 16-year-olds aren't smart. They are. They just don't really understand what they're really getting themselves into, because your mind isn't actually fully developed until you're like 23, 24. So I was barely a teen. Like, you know, if you think about it, like, I didn't even know anything. I had my first baby at 17. Like, no. Kids should not be having kids. Take it from me. It's very painful when I see other women judging or attacking survivors. I get that men are going to say what they're going to say because they think very differently than us. But when I see other women tearing other women down, I get very confused by that. I get almost angered because your life isn't perfect. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect people, and we all make mistakes. But imagine if we had a community of women that we could run to. Like, if I had a sisterhood of women that were survivors, understood, empathetic, caring, a safe space, someone that would hold a safe space for me to be able to speak freely about that, and I won't feel shame. Imagine if we had that. You know how many more women would be free to leave or have a safe space to go and not feel shamed for it. Like, I cannot say that enough. I can't say it loud enough. I just can't say it enough. We have to stick together in these times. We have to, because leaving, unless you have ever been in that situation, there's no way you can understand what she's going through. And I pray that none of you ever have to experience a relationship like that, because that's not something that I wish on my worst enemy. I don't ever want anybody to experience that kind of trauma and that hurt and that pain, because it's hard to come back from. It really is, because you really have to save yourself. And her husband, I commend him so much for standing there. But when there was comments saying that he saved her, and he was like, no, Cassie saved Cassie. She had to pull herself out of that place. She had to do the work. It's true. Nobody can save us. No one is coming to save you. Being in that situation, I had to save myself. I had to pull myself out of that dark place. Yes, I had people that were there, but essentially it was my responsibility to get out of that space. So again, I understand that statement. It's very real. But I want to offer a message of healing and hope, and remind survivors that you are not alone, that you have a voice. Keep speaking out. Keep these things in the light. Don't let any of these things that happen to you dim what you've been through, because it's powerful, even if the story is a little dark. Thank you guys for holding a space for me to talk about this really painful subject that is in the news right now, that is everywhere, and it's not over. This is just the beginning of it. Like, she was the first one. Now more people are starting to step up and come forward, and I am so happy about that. To every woman who has been silenced, blamed, and shamed, I see you. I believe you. You are not alone. Thank you for listening to Don't Be Shady. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you are somebody who would like to share your story with me, please send me a message on Instagram or YouTube in some way, and we can get your story out there. Thank you so much. All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Don't Be Shady. If you laughed, nodded, or said, even once, go ahead and follow, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Slide into my DMs on Instagram, and let's keep the convo going. And remember, keep it cute, keep it classy, and don't be shady.